Welcome back, everyone. I know the break was short, but we have so much to do this afternoon, so many exciting things. So take your seats. We're going to jump right back into the program with the next panel to discuss why the relationship between chefs and farmers is critical. Joining us, we have 5 incredible chefs: Jamey Fader of Marczyk Fine Foods, Joe Lerma-Lopez of Luna Mexican Kitchen, Adrian Lipscombe of the 40 Acres Project. We have Pushkar Marathe of Ela Curry Kitchen and Stage, and Michael Showers of High West. And for your moderator, we have one of my favorite food journalists of all time, Gustavo now I'm going to mess up your name, Gustavo, sorry. Arellano, who is the columnist for the Los Angeles Times. So please give them a big round of applause.
Thank you. All right. As the people start going into their chairs, we'll start with a bit of a soliloquy from me involving pork, of course. My family loves pork. We're Mexican. I'm going to shout out the dishes that my family loves, our favorite pork dishes. Raise of hands if you've heard of these. How many of you have heard of chicharrones? Raise your hand. Okay, yeah, pork rinds. How about chorizo? Raise the hands. Good. Chorizo, pork sausage, spiced. How about carnitas? Raise of hand, carnitas. Good. Okay, now a little bit more advanced. How about chuletas? Chuletas? Pork chops. We all know what pork chops are. Chuletas de puerco. How about cueritos? Some of you? Pickled pig skin. Not my favorite. How about patitas? Okay, cool. That's going to be pickled pig's feet. Not my favorite. How about asadura? Any of you know what? Whoa, one per kind of. Asadura, anyone knows what asadura is? Heart, lungs, liver, cooked in pork's blood. That is good eating. Absolutely delicious. When you should eat it, it's absolutely delicious. When you love pork, especially as a consumer, you're going to be getting it from wherever you can. Most of the time, it's going to be your supermarket. Most of the time, it's not going to be good pork, but you don't care because you figure pork is pork. That's how my family thought, at least. But it all changed when I took my dad for his birthday to a nice restaurant. And I picked this restaurant specifically because I wanted him to taste good pork. And this restaurant served Niman, in California we call you folks Niman still, Niman Ranch pork. So I took him, I think it was a pork chop, probably rubbed. Oh, how many of you know what al pastor is, by the way? Good. I mean, you better know what al pastor is at this point. But he tasted a pork chop marinated like al pastor, and he tasted it. And he stopped, he got a big smile on his face, and he said, I have not tasted pork like this since I was a kid in Mexico. My family, I come from farmers. Both of my parents are Mexican immigrants from the state of Zacatecas, which is in central Mexico. My mom's side of the family raised crops, mostly beans and corn. My dad's side of the family raised livestock. It was going to be pigs, goats, and cattle. And I just remember thinking how happy I was that my dad was able to get this memory. He left Mexico in 1969, so a memory that basically at this point is 50 years old. Like, it took him back to that. And I could have taken him some Niman Ranch pork from a butcher. I could have taken him some nice pork from anywhere. But it took a chef to unlock the possibility of what pork could and should taste like. So chefs, I think, going to you folks, chefs are so crucial to getting consumers to eat better, to go back to the quote-unquote old ways that we should have never left. So to me, the answer seems self-evident of this panel. Why chefs need farmers? But I want all of you to answer that. Why do you need farmers? It's going down this way, that way.
Hot seat, right? Right next to the moderator.
Yep.
When it comes to working with farmers, it's just important that ethical business happens, right? Business needs to be done, I think, on an ethical level, and working with farmers just make sure that ethical is cyclical. So as we support farmers financially, they support us with good product. I can't speak for the rest of the panel, but the level of businesses that I have, we have different levels at scale where we can't utilize farmers as best as we'd like to.
Of course.
Just based on volume, but we do have opportunities at our smaller scale establishments to make sure that when we can do something that is right and it's ethical and it can be sourced and it can be, the logistics work out with delivery, sometimes we have to go a little bit further for that farmer who is small, who doesn't have the resources to get the product to you. Sometimes you have to go and get there, but supporting that infrastructure of the small farming community, and then obviously there's a larger farming community that we're talking about as well. It's just inherent to the self-preservation of food education and food fluency, and it just moves the needle for me ethically, and it's something that I will never not be a part of my business practice.
Pushkar.
I think farmers are everything for we have 2 restaurants in Florida, even though a lot of times people think Florida is not as a big farming state, but it is. It's one of the, when everybody's freezing, we're producing strawberries and providing tomatoes to all you guys. So without the farmers, I think I wouldn't be where I am at, because I believe in ingredient-focused cooking. And every time you meet a farmer, it's not only about the produce, it kind of tells you the story about ingredients, the farms, the family, and makes you appreciate the product a little bit more, and it makes your dishes a little bit more interesting, because it almost makes you want to do more to the product and more to the beautiful pork, or if it's a mango or a jackfruit, or whatever you can talk about, and I can go on and on. It's like you learn a little bit about life too, because it's being on a farm, you're spending all these like days where it's raining, the weather's bad, there's storm coming, and then how you navigate, and you're still able to provide this amazing ingredients. So it's more than just a product. I think it's about a lifestyle you get to appreciate a little bit more. I'm not going to get into detail about chains and how much we use or not, but I think we should all appreciate farmers a little bit more, and that's why I am where I am in my career. So thank you to all you farmers if you're here.
Hi, everyone. For me, the farmer is part of the restaurant. It is a team member. So as we have our front of house and our back of house, we have our farmers. As plays its part because we work with in season. We talk about distribution. We talk about how our food is transferred to us. But as a chef, we have a lot of responsibilities to you. I tell people all the time, we are the first ones that will be touching your food the longest. We manipulate it the longest. We make you like it. We make you hate it. We introduce you to new things. And that's the only way we can do that, is working with our farmers and understanding what the product is. And it also starts bringing up the culture of food and understanding that a lot of farms have been making certain ingredients for many generations. And 3, 4 generations, 5 generations. And for us to understand their story, we're able to tell it on a plate as well. When we have our events and our dinners, we just don't have farm to table. We have the farmer to the table because we want you to try that food too. Because most times, they can't even afford to go to those restaurants or our restaurants. So it's an opportunity for them to also understand how we change and try their food and manipulate it to a way that brings up those memories, as you say, and tell new stories and create new stories.
Joe.
That's beautiful. Thank you. So I believe it's about the animals, and I think all of the farmers are in line with those values. And that is why I chose Nyman Ranch, because of the culture and at Nyman Ranch, and also how the animals are raised humanely. I want to make an impact in our food system, and that's why I source from Nyman Ranch, because the farmers are in line with our values, and that's very important to me. So I'll keep it there, because I know we're going to have a longer conversation, but.
we need farmers so that we can get back to a place that is more sustainable, and so that we can help consumers as a whole better understand that we don't need so many steps between what farmers do and putting it on a plate. I love to go out in the woods and pick things, which is different than farming, but a quick story is that my daughter and I popped out of the woods, and some folks were there, and we had big baskets of mushrooms, and they said, "Oh, sweetie, you can't eat that," you know. And she said, "Dad, what are they talking about?" You know, and it's not wrapped in plastic, right? It hasn't been processed. And so I remember years ago saying, just how do we turn this ship around? And lo and behold, there was a group called Nyman Ranch, and doing it right. And to what Joe had just said, we don't need to push farmers to be overly processed, to be overly mechanized, to be mistreating animals and produce and all the things. We have pushed this upon farmers. It's not the other way around. And the more that we source with integrity, directly, cut out the gaps, the more that we can showcase that, as pretty much everyone up here has said, we can just take this beautiful stuff, whether that's an animal or a plant, and we can put it on a plate and we can enjoy it for what it was meant to be without having to go through any steps.
All beautiful stories, all beautiful philosophies. We're also in the United States, where sadly too many of us are completely far, far away from farms. Us in the food world, we're a little bit closer, obviously. But if you're growing up, especially in suburbs, especially in urban areas, yeah, I mean, you hear those anecdotes of kids not knowing that your pork comes from an animal. So to get to the Nyman way of thinking, I do think there needs to be an aha moment. So all of you in the food world, you know, what was the aha moment that made you realize, as you mentioned, Michael, yeah, you want to do as much as possible with farmers. Sometimes you can't because of, say, logistics or economics, but what was that moment that made you think, as much as I can, I want to be involved with farmers, know their stories, and use their products? So start with Joe. You're the one who was nodding the most, so I know I'm reaching something in you.
Thank you. I wouldn't have it any other way. Like, this is what I do. I knew when I opened my first restaurant, I came out of a culinary school, natural chef program, from a completely different industry, but I know what my purpose is, and I want to make a difference in our food system. I believe that food is medicine. I truly believe that we can heal through food. I believe that I have a responsibility, and going into the restaurant industry was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it's the most rewarding. And I think that when I made that conscious decision to open a restaurant, I knew every single ingredient was going to have intention, no matter what. And nothing is going to come in our kitchen there's nothing going to be processed. Every protein, every animal product will be raised humanely, without antibiotics, without hormones, and because in our little way, we can make a difference.
And what sparked that intentionality, though?
Yeah.
Because not everyone thinks like you, especially in the food world.
Well, it goes back. No.
No, go for it.
So there was a point where my father was, getting older, and I started to get more into nutrition to help to get him off, borderline diabetes, borderline this, and, before you know it, he's taking 5 different medications. And I started to read, and I think the first book I picked up at an airport was Fast Food Nation. I read the whole thing, and I was like, oh my God, and then you can't unsee that. And then I just started digging deep, and this is over 20 years ago, and I just started digging deep. And as a mother of 3 now adult children, I want to do the best for my family and my father, who's 93 now, and he's on 0 medication. I am his healer.
Wow.
I cook for him. I'll get emotional, but I cook for him every single day. Well, not today, but so it's personal for me. Also, I'm involved in a lot of different organizations in my community. I'm on the board of 2 specific organizations that, Luna is a platform, and I can give back. And I don't know what the future holds, but I know that I have to just stay in line with my beliefs, and I know that other doors are going to open, and it's not about me, it's not about the restaurant, it's about our community and making some small change that I can make, so.
Awesome. Who else wants to share an aha moment? Jamey.
As a chef, I had two. One was working at a restaurant outside DC where I grew up, and I had been cooking, but mostly, not fast food, but diners and things like that. And we went with our funny little hats, and we would go out into the garden, and we would pick things. We would only do maybe 40, 50 covers, very fine dining. And the flavors, how things tasted, that sense of pride that you picked something that you helped grow, that you put on a table was the first one. The second one then, as I developed into a chef, was going to Chez Panisse, and a chef mentor took me there, and it was the first time that I read a menu that didn't have all these words on it. It was just something very simple, and I believe the dish, and I can be corrected, but I believe it was like Chino Farms roasted red bell pepper. And I was thinking to myself, come on, that's a dish? It's a roasted red bell pepper. A little bit of olive oil that was local, sea salt that was local, on a pepper that was picked that morning. It was everything. And then as a person, when my wife went through some serious health issues, she decided she was going to fix it through food. And she turned her health around, my daughter's health around, and it was us growing things and picking things and what we chose. And we really showed ourselves that you can, in fact, heal yourself with food. And that was really powerful.
Adrian, what do you think? Farmers, of course, work probably some of the hardest workers around, and so I don't want to put even more pressure on y'all, but what can farmers do more so that more chefs think the way all of you are talking right now?
Wow, that is a difficult question right there because they do a lot. They work 24 hours a day. Again, it's a two-way street, right? First of all, it's how do you communicate to a farmer? How do you find them? Me was the farmer's market, walking the farmer's market, talking to them at the farmer's market, visiting their farms, understanding their story, understanding their family, understanding why, their purpose, and then how it aligned with my purpose is how I moved. I think we all need to take a step back and a pause to really understand where our food comes from. It comes from a farm. It may be a small farm, medium farm, or a commercial large farm, but it's a conscious decision, a purpose of the reason why we decide as a chef to choose where we get our food from. And we have to take those moments to understand why we are cooking, but who we are cooking for and what's that purpose as well. So as y'all are doing a really good job, by the way, it has, again, that 50%, we have to meet each other. In a lot of it has to do with distribution, right? How far farms are away from the city or the inner parts of where these restaurants are. It has a lot to do with food policy and how food policy is running through and how do you get that food to places. So again, to me, it's a 50-50 street that we both need to do it, and especially with chefs, we need to step up.
Yeah. Pushkar, what are the stories that the farmers that you work with tell you? How do they tell you those stories?
The farmers we work with, the stories they share is by an ingredient or by, for an instance, if this year we didn't get enough of one of the fruits or the tomatoes, or just saying the challenges they have, because most of the farmers I'm working with, whether it's Nyman Ranch or any produce farmer growing jackfruit or tomatoes or local Brazilian spinach, it really comes down to none of these guys are using any pesticides or any chemicals. So there are challenges and they will share the challenges they have, like squirrels eating all the jackfruit. So learning about the different methods they're using to apply in a day-to-day, while sticking to their principles of not using a lot of pesticides and chemicals, making sure we are getting that clean food is something I learn every day when I talk to them.
Do you share those stories with your diners?
Most of the times, yes. We try to educate our diners as much as we can by educating our servers, educating our back of the house staff, and we believe in everything has a purpose. Like we don't throw away broccoli stems, for an instance. There is a lot of work which goes into growing, whether it's a cattle, pork, animal, any poultry. So we try to use everything pretty much nose to tail, and it applies to everything we do. And it kind of makes us more creative and innovative, where some of the best dishes come out of trying something and finding a purpose for things. You're just going to put it in garbage. And sometimes things we throw away has more nutrition than what we are actually keeping to ourselves. And that all comes from farmers also educating like what they do at home with it. And sometimes you find new ways to do things and inspiration to different food and dishes. And so farmers are amazing, in my opinion. And again, I'll say it over and over, our restaurants wouldn't be where they are without the farmers.
I ask these questions because you have great ambassadors always in chefs, and the good chefs. And I know all of you farmers work a lot, but there's been a little bit of talk about journalism and how journalism is going down. And as a member of the Legacy Press, I'm with the Los Angeles Times, I could tell you it's even worse than that. So sadly, but I think also this is an opportunity. It's time for you farmers to also be telling your stories. Restaurants have already been way ahead of this game with social media managers and TikTok, but all of you, get your grandchildren, get your children, get yourselves, get on TikTok, get on Instagram, start newsletters. People love newsletters now more than ever before, and tell the stories that you do, the stories that the chefs may know, but they're also busy. Sometimes people want to hear those stories. Joe, you had a comment.
I couldn't agree more. The farmers out there, I just got on Instagram, and my 12-year-old niece taught me how to do it during COVID. And we had opened our second restaurant, and I was like, we have to connect with our people. And I looked, and at that time, I think we had 2,000 people following us without even doing anything. And she's like, oh, this is really good. And I'm like, great. How do I post something? And so we started talking to our community. And so I'm there with you. Just tell a story. It's just the human story, and we all need connection. So what I do with our staff is, like you said, staff training. Ernesto came and spoke. Jason came and spoke to our staff. I think we had over 100 servers and bartenders between two restaurants, and they came and told your story. Ernesto did, and Jason came and spoke, and we need to build that partnership where we can get people to know what you do, because people don't realize that I think it's 93% of our animals are factory raised. People still think they're coming from a farm, they don't know. We need to tell the story. Let me be the platform for you. I'm here. Yeah.
Jamey.
Yeah, to third that, it is such an easy process. I know it seems daunting if you're busy and you're not technologically inclined, but you all are hidden. Your voices are hidden, and it is so important what you're doing. We have lost our way, and you all have found it. And this process that Nyman has of not just being a place, but a concept, right? But being a system of a belief is so important to get out there. And so make a silly video, show yourself putting your boots on, whatever the thing is.
Just show the baby pigs.
Yeah.
That
You don't
alone will
have
get
to-
you 5 million views.
You don't have to do a dance.
It's really important. Let your voices be heard, because what you have to say, or even not say, just show, is really, really, really important.
Just what we seen yesterday. we're trying to get it on social media. Just what we all seen yesterday.
We were at
was
Alderland
amazing.
Farms yesterday. Yeah. All of you are very generous with your time right here because all of you are going to make amazing food for us this evening. So round of applause. Starting from appetizer until the end, what are you folks cooking and why?
I didn't
So
know
I
we were
have
saying
first-
anything. I thought it was a secret.
Is that? Oh, well, okay, fine. Let me rephrase that. There's going to be a secret. Why are, okay,
I mean,
well, we'll leave it a secret, but I'll put it this way. Why are all of you so excited to be cooking for this audience using Nyman Ranch pork?
we can say what course we're doing. How about that?
Sure, how about
Okay,
that?
Okay.
I'll say everything. I'll say everything I'm doing.
So I have first course, and I'll be leading us off, hopefully well. That's
No pressure.
the best thing. And I just wanted to combine Colorado and what we do and a taste of the West with a taste of Iowa. And so there's going to be chilies and corn, and I am doing pork cheeks because I think they're fun. And so we've got some peaches from Colorado and some corn from Iowa and some fun things to throw together. And I just wanted to celebrate summer.
Cat's out of the bag.
That's all right. You're going to be there anyway, right?
Michael, what are you going to be doing? Or how do you want to inspire us?
So, thankfully, I knew a couple months ago that this was happening. So, believe it or not, like the ideas just didn't populate immediately right off the bat. But I wanted to make sure that, you know, High West, where I come from, we've been partners. I've been partners with Nyman for close to 15 years now. I'm looking at Trevor right now, but also been at High West for 6 years. And our two leading items on our menu are both dominated by Nyman Ranch, our burger and our schnitzel. Which is great. But anyway, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that I took of some of my style, and I knew people were going to lean on the produce that's available in Iowa right now, and I've let those people lean on it, and that's fine. But we're just going to do some big, beautiful pork belly. That's all I'm going to say right now, and it's probably not going to be what people expect when you think of pork belly. But the balance of the side and the pork belly itself is going to be pretty. I think it's going to be. Hopefully, it's a showstopper. So I'm excited.
All right, who's next?
I wanted to cook for Nyman because I've been using Nyman pork and Nyman products in general for Nyman beef for over 10 years now. And the reason I was so excited to come here and cook for the 25th annual Farmer Appreciation Dinner is like, it's one of my favorite things to eat, and I take pride in serving in our restaurants. So I really wanted to see and meet these farmers and kind of wanted to showcase what we do with it in our restaurant, just a little glimpse of it. And personally, just wanted to come see these farms and meet farmers. And I decided to do this new Iberian Duroc program Nyman launched, and that's what I'm going to use for my dish. I got to meet Doc back there, and it all goes back to the distributor making that relationship and educating us. We spend hours and hours talking about different ingredients. Brandon back there does a great job from Miami Purveyors, bringing and educating us about new products, because I wouldn't have known if no one said anything, because I'm not out here every day. So that relationship of a distributor to a chef and talking about a pork which is raised several hundred miles away from your restaurant, and that's why I'm here to showcase this new pork I'm using, and I want these farmers to taste what we do every day.
Awesome. Adrian?
So I'm last.
Wait, I'm before you.
Oh.
And then your dessert.
Joe,
Oh my
then
gosh.
Adrian.
Yeah, Joe.
Yeah.
You got 2 minutes.
Okay.
So
Okay. And the food that smelled so delicious. I can't wait. You're yeah. So there was a lot of intention in the dish that I selected. One, it's a dish that I got to cook in Yucatan, in Cochinita Pibil. I've had it on our menu since day one. The reason I put it on our menu is because you don't really see it on a lot of menus because it is time intensive. So it's such a beautiful dish because it's offered back to an earth oven. And when I experienced that, it was just like a full circle moment for me, and how the animals are honored, and there's just so much just intention in every process. So I selected this dish. There's a natto seed, and it looks like a walnut, and you open it, and there's these little red pearls, and they're just full of color and earthiness, and that's part of the marinade, and just a bunch of spices and aromatics, and you make this rub. And then you cook this banana leaf, and it releases these beautiful oils, and you wrap the pork in it, and then you just let it sit for a day. So it's sitting right now. We're gonna cook it about noon for about 4 hours. Super low and slow. Let it do its thing. So let's all hope for the best for that. And the star really is the pork, obviously, and thank you. But we're bringing the method of nixtamalization. It's nixtamal, and I've done it from day one in our restaurant, and my husband's my partner, and he was like, do we have to do this? It's gonna take 24 hours to soak the corn, then we have to grind it with stone, and then we have to hand press, and I was like, yep, or we're not doing it. We're not, like, this is it. I brought one of my tortilleras. She's been with us since day one, and she hasn't left her family for 20 years since she's been married. She's amazing, Madi. Hopefully you can meet her later. She's grinding the corn right now. On Thursday, we had our corn shipped in from Mexico, Hacienda. We had it shipped in, and we also had a molino shipped in, which is a machine that grinds the corn with stone, because, you know, that's easy. And so we soaked it, and there's, you know, just the limestone gall, and you just leave it in there, and it starts to release all of these nutrients. And guess what? Our ancestors knew this. And our ancestors knew that just a corn and beans is a complete protein. We get to honor this every day. So I'm so excited for you to taste this, this dish, and I put these two together for you, and hopefully you enjoy it. It's lovely, and yeah, let's hope for the best again. Yeah.
Adrian, we are out of time, so one-word description of your course for today.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, thanks a lot. No.
No, go ahead. I'm teasing.
He's just being shady.
So I have dessert, and as you all know, pork is in every dish. Thanks. Y'all have a wonderful day now.
Thank you so much, all. Please do what you do. Please continue to tell us what you do. Thank you.